It's the Daylight Midnight Show.
Hello and welcome to the Daylight Midnight Show. My name is Greg, and if we're learning anything at all from me making these shows, we're learning this one thing. I am no good at putting makeup on myself. Believe me, I have no issue with wearing makeup. I'm actually quite good at putting it on other people, but when it comes to putting it on myself, I just don't do a very good job at all. I'm partly blaming my wife for this because she doesn't wear much makeup at all, which means we don't have much in the house. And quite frankly, it's not good enough. If Outfit Roulette is going to say that I've got to wear makeup, I want a lot of choice, especially around the eye area, because as you can see, I'm distinctly lacking in eyeshadow and eyeliner, which is probably a good thing, because last time I tried to put eyeliner on, I sort of stabbed myself in the eye with a pencil. Having said all that, I'm rather proud of what I've done with the nail varnish. It's not bad. First time I've done that in years. I've got this lovely, I think it's called Atomic Blue. I'll double check that for you before next week's show. So let's crack on then by revealing our wonderful word of the week. This is a word I've encountered in the last 7 days or so that I wasn't familiar with before. So I found out what it meant and I'll share it with you. And this week it is the word randan. And I'm going to read this so I get it right. Randan, meaning riotous or disorderly behaviour, a rowdy celebration or excursion, or a spree. Originates from the 19th century. It's fallen out of favour, mostly used in just parts of Scotland, but I thought it seemed appropriate with pubs being allowed to serve again. You can go indoors for a drink. You're allowed to have people round. Theoretically, with certain limitations, we can start having parties indoors. So I thought it was an appropriate one. And after you finish watching this show, I want you to go out and have a very enjoyable randan with your family and friends. So let's swing round to the door of delights. Now, the first thing I want to do is make another change to Outfit Roulette. I'm going to undo what we did last week because I replaced my dressing gown with a choice of jumper. But I was thinking, we're now heading into the summer months. It's hard to believe it recently, but we are heading into summer. It's going to get warmer, and I don't really want to be sitting here filming in a jumper. So I'm going to replace the jumper, which replaced the dressing gown, with my beach robe. Father's Day last year, my children bought me this very nice towel that you throw over your head to wear on the beach. So that is now going to be the green option in column 1 for Outfit Roulette. Something else I want to do is remove our Brighton and Hove Albion logo for the first time in almost a year. Because we did this during Series 1, with Norwich City being relegated, I decided we should pick another team to support. It turned out to be Brighton and Hove Albion. The season has now ended in the Premier League. Brighton are staying in the Premier League, but of course Norwich are coming back up. So next season we'll be supporting Norwich once again. And next week I am going to do a bit of a review of the season and how well things went for our chosen team, Brighton and Hove Albion. I think that's everything, apart from this little slip of paper here, which, if my eyes don't deceive me, will be this week's topical limerick. Now, the story is this. A group of wandering cattle were seen grazing in people's gardens and eating roadside hedges after escaping a field and then getting lost. This happened in Beverley, which is in East Yorkshire. There's a lot of pasture land around the outskirts of Beverley, and there's 4 big pastures, and one of them is called Westwood. It's known as Beverley Westwood, and the owners of that have decided that they're not going to be too restrictive with their cattle. So when they're grazing, there's no cattle grids to stop them leaving. There's no gates that they close. They leave it as open as they can, and quite often these cows will wander across the road. They've been seen along the side of the road before, but they've never wandered down into the town and been seen in people's gardens. So just imagine getting up in the morning, flicking the kettle on, opening the curtains, and there's a half-ton animal out there eating your daisies. It did remind me of when I used to work in local radio in Norfolk. We would quite often have things like escaped sheep that had gone through a barbed wire fence that were causing traffic problems. The occasional frisky horse would jump over a fence and wander around on a roundabout, but nothing like a group of 7 bullocks turning up in Woodlands Road in Beverley, which is what happened. So I've actually written 2 limericks for this, a choice of 2. Option A this week. Some bullocks, while wandering free, found a nice garden in Beverley. At least one was seen by a child's trampoline. Bouncing bullocks, that's something to see. And option B, if garden tools you like to rattle, every year I expect you do battle with unwelcome pests, but no one expects to see their lawn trampled by cattle. I'll give that a B+. It would have been an A if I hadn't stumbled over the last line. So from there, let's have a go at the brown folder, which of course now has its own theme song. When you put washing outside, you might hang it up with pegs. Let's see what is written in the folder that is Greg's. That's a work in progress. So the brown folder is something I carry around with me a lot. Let's be honest, I don't carry it around with me, but anytime I have a thought about something I'd like to talk about on the show, I write it down in here, and then I open it up when we record the show and we go through it together. Point number 1, replace jumper with beach robe. Yes, I've done that already. Well done, Greg. And the rest of it is actually questions about cats that you probably know the answers to if you're a cat owner, and I'm going to look up. Why do cats get under your feet? Why do cats rub against your legs when hungry? And why do cats scratch at sofas? We've got a cat that's 2 years old, and I just observe these bits of behaviour with him, and I'm convinced now that he's actually out to get me. I think he's an agent that's been sent to kill me off before I reveal something that I shouldn't through the means of the Daylight Midnight Show. We've got at the top of our stairs, I'm not sure how to describe it, but as you go up our stairs there's a wooden banister, and at the top where the landing is, there's like banister bars of wood, and our cat's favourite trick is to hide behind those, and as you get to the top of the stairs he leaps out between the bars to attack you. I'm telling you this because if you put on this show in the future and I'm here in a neck brace or one of those halos or a full body cast, it's because my cat has tripped me up and sent me headfirst down the stairs. And that's all I've written down in here, apart from this stack of paper which I've printed off, which is my favourite words. Now I teased this last week, I said I'm going to share with you my favourite words. Now it's not the meaning of the words like we have with the wonderful word of the week, it's just the way certain words look when they're written down. I just kind of fall in love with. So I've given it a lot of thought, probably more thought than is healthy this week, and I've come up with a list. I said I'd do a top 10, but top 10s are so obvious, so I've done a great 8, my top 8 words. Honourable mention goes to the word bath, B-A-T-H. I didn't want to get into an argument about how I should pronounce it, so I've left it off the list. You'll notice some patterns. I think 4 letters are best in a word that's written down, and I like a combination of straight letters, like a capital N, and then the curvy letters, like a lowercase g, especially if there's a sharp start. So not all those words follow that pattern, but that'll give you a little clue as to what my number 1 might be. So we're going to go through these then, starting with number 8, and number 8 is the one I told you last week, so you already know this is one of my favourite words. It's the word silk. So you can already see you're getting this nice combination of curvy letters placed next to very straight letters with lots of angles. And I do find this is the best way to do it. You have a capital letter followed by 3 lowercase letters. So that is number 8. Number 7, Freud might have something to say about this, because mother, and I just, you know, M, capital M is perfect because it starts very jagged, you've got the angles, and then you've got these lovely curves after it. So I placed that at number 7. Let's move over quickly from there before someone claims I've got an Oedipus complex. This is number 6, and I'm not going to say this because I don't like the way it sounds. It feels very weird in my mouth, but this is number 6. Number 5 is the exception that proves the rule, because I do generally speaking like shorter words, but this one is a lot longer. This has always been one of my favourite words, and it is the word effervescent. And just look at that lovely combination of curving letters and very straight angles, and I think they're perfectly spaced out, lots of vowels mixed in with the consonants. Only one vowel in the entire thing though. The letter E appears lots and lots of times, and you can never have enough E's, as many of my friends used to say back in the 1990s. So that is our number 5 word. Our number 4 word, I really struggled about where to place this. This could have been number 1, it could have been as low as 23. It's the word bung. Now, if that isn't the perfect example of what I was talking about, a lovely straight start and then all these curves forming a word that is lovely to say and lovely to look at, but it's only number 4 on my list, because at number 3 is our last word that is longer than 4 letters, and this is one where what the word means really does influence my enjoyment of it, because it's the word coconut, which is my favourite flavour, it's one of my favourite things to eat, and lo and behold, it is one of my favourite words. So that is number 3, the bronze medal position. We're down to the last 2 then, and we have an animal entry at number 2, because I love looking at the word frog. And I'm just going to give you a moment with me to enjoy the way it looks. What about that? Frogs are my favourite colour as well, which might have influenced me slightly. So taking into account everything you've seen so far, taking into account everything that I've told you about why I like the way certain words are written down, I'm about to reveal my all-time favourite word when written down, the way it looks when it's written down. Doesn't matter what it stands for. The meaning of this does kind of relate to my mood at times. I'm taking as long as possible to give you a chance to think about it, and I've got to say this is my favourite word by far. This is miles clear of anything else. My favourite word, ladies and gentlemen, as a word when it's written down, is the word dark. So So there we go. You've learned a little bit something extra about me. Let's crack on with Outfit Roulette then, see what we're going to be wearing next week using the randomness of the Rubik's Cube, allying that to the little chart we have on the wall, which I adjusted today. Orange goes first, and orange is my grey jacket. I've just remembered I didn't actually set the timer, so I don't know if I've gone under or over. I was happily sitting here thinking I've got everything done that I wanted to get done without the timer going beep, but I may be running over wildly. So black is next, so I'll be wearing my dress again. Hopefully I'll get a chance to buy a new dress because the charity shops are open. So I will make that pledge now. I'll be wearing a dress, but it will be a different dress to one you've seen before. So grey jacket with a dress, and to accessorise all that, we will be wearing whatever is red, and red is a tie. So that's a strange combination, but that's what I'll be wearing next week. A rhyming couplet to end the show on then. Now you know my favourite word. When written down, it's dark. In Beverley, you might see cattle walking to the park. I'm going to say this now, even though it doesn't apply to the current shooting schedule. I will see you next week. Have a great 7 days.